You know, ladies and gentlemen, the Off the Rope Show asked a question recently in one of the Q&As on OTRS Central. And it's a question that not just them, but a lot of wrestling fans have been asking. And that is, are you excited for WrestleMania 29? And I think a lot of people will give you different answers. Some will say yes, some will say no. But it all depends on how you look at it. You see, I know a lot of people are not too happy about WrestleMania in some ways, and some people are. Those that are happy are either one, they're going to be because they're going to be there live, in person, or two, you know, they go by the old saying that looks can be deceiving. Now it's true, now it might be true, I should say, that it looks like this WrestleMania card, with a few exceptions, with a few other matches, has been booked on the fly. I mean, we pretty much knew in advance the three main event matches. We knew it was going to be Rock Cena, even though many hoped it wouldn't be. We pretty much knew it was going to be Triple H Brock again, you know, even though people wished it wouldn't be, or hoped it wouldn't be. And we pretty much knew it was going to be Taker and Punk. Now, the other matches, we pretty much knew we pretty much had an idea were going to be occurring. We just didn't know in what kind of format or what way. You know, for example, we knew the Shield was going to be in a major six-man tag. We just didn't know who the opponents would be. Well, as the time went on, we pretty much had we kind of had an idea that it was going to be Orton and Sheamus. And then later on, we thought it was going to be Ryback, because Ryback has the most beef. However, that did not occur because WWE decided, okay, we want to put Ryback in his own match so he can have his own WrestleMania moment. Now, original plans, as pretty much everybody knows, for Ryback was for Ryback to face the Big Show. But they've decided, you know what? We're going to turn Big Show babyface again. And instead of having him face Ryback, we're going to have Big Show team up with Orton and Sheamus. We're going to have Ryback face somebody else. Now, everybody pretty much thought at first, 'cause some of the plans went back and forth, he was going to face a heelish Jericho. That did not come to pass. Instead, they decided to go with an option that, well, we pretty much were hoping we'd see anyway down the line, Mark Henry. And I guess in their own minds, you know, you could say, in their own minds, they feel, hey, we can't do Big Show, and we're going to put him with a program with the Shield. We can't do Jericho, and we're going to put him in a program with an up-and-comer. What's the next best thing? Oh, I know. Oh, we know. Let's put Ryback in the ring with the world's strongest man. Because you got to think of it this way. Even though some of us are okay with it, Ryback and Mark Henry, you got to look at it this way. Mark Henry has picked up the likes of Big Show and Great Khali with ease, like they're nothing. This basically to WWE would be Ryback's WrestleMania moment if he's able to not only sustain a World's Strongest Slam, but almost with ease pick up Mark Henry for the shell shock, walk around like this, like he does with all his opponents, and then hit it like Mark Henry, and then hit it on Mark Henry like Mark Henry's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I guess in their mentality, that's kind of as good as you're going to get if they can't get somebody like the Big Show against Ryback. Because think about it, like I said, you have Mark Henry just basically can manhandle anybody on screen with ease, even despite how big they are and how huge they are. So why not have somebody that basically could take two opponents, or even three opponents, well mostly two, walk around with them on his shoulder with ease and then hit the shell shock. And when you think about it, two opponents on Ryback's shoulders equal almost to what Mark Henry is. Get what I'm saying? And it would put Ryback over in a sense because he would have done what nobody thought could be done. He basically picked up the world's strongest man and walked around with him with ease, basically making himself look like the new world's strongest man. Or something. So yeah, we pretty much had an idea of several matches. But again, the question is, are you excited? Well, I think despite how people may feel right now, they have to be a little bit excited because it is WrestleMania, and despite how you feel of the way it was booked, you have to be a bit excited. You have to realize it is WrestleMania. It is basically the original, if not the second to original, Super Bowl of wrestling. If not now, the established Super Bowl of wrestling. You gotta have to be excited about it because it's the only time WWE is ever going to hold a pay-per-view or any wrestling event of any kind in an outdoor stadium that big. So, in a sense, you gotta have to be a little excited about it. I mean, I understand, again, that some people feel that's basically, I mean, I can understand some are not excited about it because they feel it was booked on the fly. And you know what? Maybe it was. But you got to look at it in a sense, folks, that it wasn't just booked on the fly. In some sense, in some ways, you have to understand they had a lot of changes to do. They had to change things up here and there, just so they can at least get it on the card. You know, I mean, we have basically, potentially, we're going to have about 10, maybe 12 matches on the card. At the most, if you will. 10 or 12, maybe 11 matches at the most. Now you might say, well, what do you mean, Bobby, 10 or 11? Well, today, in case you don't know, a new match was added. Because of The Miz's win last night against Wade Barrett, The Miz will challenge Wade Barrett, yes, in a rematch, but this time with the Intercontinental Championship on the line. And if you think that's a rematch coming out of last night's Raw, how about this? This speculation and rumor going around backstage, according to several sources, is that we will have another rematch for a championship, and this time will be Caitlyn versus AJ for the Divas title, which will pretty much means, according to several sources, that they have nixed the Layla heel turn that they were talking about, and they have nixed the 8 Divas tag team match. Now I can understand, maybe they turned the Diva title match into a lumberjack match, or a lumberjill match. That's understandable, get the Divas on there for a payday. But again, that's possibly another match being added on. So when you look at the lineup, you know, you have to be a bit excited because you got to think of it this way. You got 3 main events, yes, they're rematches in some ways, but they're different. Things are different this time in a sense. But, you know, like Rock and Cena, whether you like it or not, I've said this before. How else are you going to get 90,000 plus people in that stadium? Huh? I mean, and you look at the rematch, this time it's not about pride or who's better. It's about being champion. About being the WWE champion. Then you take a look at Triple H Brock, and you pretty much figure, it's going to be the same match over again. Yeah, maybe, but the difference is, it's no holds barred. Stipulation, Triple H's career is on the line. Well, career's on the line. And there's a possibility that Paul Heyman could get countered at ringside by the McMahons. And then you take a look at CM Punk and Undertaker. Of course, the situation going on there, the storyline that's evolving around that. Yeah, it's a rematch too, but it's a rematch from a match that we had not seen for a few years, because times have changed, and now it's the Phenom, as it's being advertised as, against the best in the world. So you got to look at the fact that both men have changed in a sense. Then, so you know, how can you not be excited about that? Because you got to look at the rematches. The rematches for these three main events have not been like, oh, it's going to happen the next month, or it's going to happen the following night, or the following week. No. The rematches of these rematches have taken place are taking place sporadically, if not far in between the original matches. But then, of course, you take a look at the undercard, if you will, and you say to yourself, how can people be excited about an undercard like that? Well, just checking my time there. Well, let's take a look at it. How can you be excited about an undercard like that? Well, how about the fact that this undercard, if you will, is going to do something that a lot of people have been complaining WWE has not done. Sorry about that. I thought that was my brother-in-law dropping off my nephew. But like I said, who in a sense has to hate on this undercard? I mean, WWE is doing what many people have complained about that they have not complained about of them not doing. They're actually focusing on the future of the company. Think about it. You've got the Shield. This Shield, who is undefeated as a team, is being proposed of going over at WrestleMania of all things, going up against an established veteran team in Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus. And again, are being discussed, and again, are being proposed of going over, being discussed about having people discuss about them going over on the biggest stage of them all against these three. And then, of course, you have, as of last night, you have Fandango against Chris Jericho, Y2J, with the possibility that Fandango will go over on Chris Jericho in his debut. And he's making his official in-ring debut at this event. So how can you not be excited about that? And then you take a look at the tag team title match. Now, I know a lot of people complain and say, oh, well, you've got all these other teams that should get title shots. You know, why aren't they? Hello? You know, there's a storyline behind this, whether you like it or not. And think about it. Dolph hasn't really had that many major victories at WrestleMania, has he? And Big E's going to make his in-ring debut at WrestleMania. So again, how can you not be excited about the fact that WWE is allowing a lot of their talent, and most importantly, two of them, to make their in-ring debuts at Mania? How can you not be excited about that? Huh? And furthermore, you got the possibility of doing it again, if you will, with AJ and Caitlyn. Whether you like how they can wrestle or not, they're going to be making their WrestleMania debuts in-ring debuts in the next 2 weeks, possibly, against each other for the Divas title. So again, I ask you, how can you not be excited about this in some ways? I mean, basically, they are allowing 5, if not 7 up-and-comers to make their WrestleMania debuts, in a sense, in some high-profile matches. In a sense, high-profile matches against some of the established, if not against each other. So how can you not, be excited about that? Be excited about the fact that they're allowing, excuse me,